Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Righteous Force, Paul, Quantum Eraser, Flatzoid, Chocolate Sane, Arwin and 10th Man in G+. Very good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Beginning of 1,001 shows.
Yeah, 1001 this show.
Just 999 to go.
Yeah, and then there'll be the 2000th show. So let's see if we can actually get all the way through housekeeping on this occasion. Just didn't manage it on the 1000th, but there we go, such is life. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from Canada.
Only if you presume the horizon to be the leading edge of a sphere, which it is not.
Not on Earth.
Best housekeeping answer I had for a while to that question, Arwin. Thank you for that. Can you just repeat that? Worthy of repeating.
Right. Yeah, there's no signs of curvature unless you purposely mistake the apparent horizon within your sight as the leading edge of a sphere.
What on? Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nope.
Nope.
Gyroscopes stay in place when you spin them up. So there is no displacement, which would be a necessity if there was any kind of spinning motion going on.
No Earth-based Coriolis detected.
Hey, FE Jedi, can you hear us? FE Jedi? You want to add something?
Hello, buddy. How are you?
Very well. Just wanted to check.
No, that was just more.
I was just
Hey,
checking.
Jedi, what's up, brother?
Weren't going to play
Good to hear you.
What up, Doc?
Yeah.
And yourself, mate.
Any scientific evidence of
Jedi.
gravity? Open to all?
I was just gonna say Jedi's real cool. He's one of the mods over at 24/7. He's awesome. And it's funny enough because so many people confuse him with you. Like the ballers really get upset at him because to them, he reminds them of you. And they're all triggered by you. So it's just a funny dynamic when they go over there. They're like, "Oh, you sound like Nathan Oakley." It's ridiculous. So Jedi, shout out to you, bro.
Much love to yourself, Chocolate. Much love to yourself.
Does he have scientific evidence of gravity, though?
Good question.
Which one? Any particular gravity? Which one do you want me to not prove to you without the scientific method? Just assume it and point at things and say, "Oh, they're moving, therefore gravity because of an R value and a mass value." Yeah, okay. No, sorry, no scientific evidence for gravity at all.
Knows your game, Arwin.
I just hope that you would figure out what it is. Everybody's trying to figure it out, you know?
I can observe the effect. I can't prove cause to you, mate. Sorry.
All right.
Shout out to FE Diplomat for the super chat. Really appreciate your support, FE Diplomat. Thank you very much indeed. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
No.
It would be extremely difficult to even attempt it, and any preliminary setups to try and attempt it would yield very clear results that it's just not going to be possible. So to imagine that is already an act of desperation on itself, because it is so contrary to what nature is like. In other words, no.
Take that as a no. Can't have gas pressure without a container. What about any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? What about evidence of that?
Some densities volcanoes that cause that. That's
Every time I hear it, I just think of candy. I can't help it.
Molten, smooth licorice core.
marshmallows over a fire.
Indeed. About the R value, any evidence of that?
According to Mick West, that would be an assumption based on the standard model.
Only
Just-
assume distance on one and then triangulation on another.
The distance to the sun, that would be. Any evidence of that? Distance to the sun?
Nope.
Or distance to the moon. How about any kind of location, physical?
Well, what the hell is the moon?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that concludes the housekeeping. At least we got through it.
No, it doesn't. You forgot one.
Okay, so we'd like any valid hypothesis, a scientific prediction from any of the following corners of academia: astronomy, physics, or cosmology. Any valid hypothesis from any of those fields in the history. Go on.
In their entire history, a single viable scientific hypothesis in the entire history of astronomy, astrophysics, or cosmology. Just one. Thanks.
So
Hey,
just
but John, we've made observations. We've triangulated. Come on. Is that not good enough? Come on.
okay, the reason for asking for this is because observation of a phenomena would be step one in the scientific method. It has been asserted to us for a long time that we have scientific validity to the assertion that Earth is a sphere with gas pressure attached to the outside of that sphere, traversing a vacuum at high speed. Now, that assertion, claimed to be backed by science, would need to have actual science to back it, and we're calling them on their claim of science. If you have science, we want validated scientific predictions, otherwise known as hypothesis. Not just step one as Paul's illustrated with his example. Step one, observe natural phenomena. Well, yeah, you could argue that some of these fields can observe natural phenomena, but then you need to go forward with predictions, otherwise known as hypotheses, that guesses, let's get it clear, at this stage it's not worth anything, not yet validated, guesses what the cause of that phenomena actually is. Now, upon doing so, you would validate or invalidate that prediction by way of experimentation. So we want to see the valid hypotheses or a hypothesis in any form or shape from an astrophysicist, a cosmologist, or the other pseudoscience. Bloody hell. I will get it consistent once.
But Nathan, we've made calculations and we predicted things. We have predicted things. Don't you get this? Come on. You don't
Okay.
understand.
Fair enough. So there's a difference between monitoring a clock moving in a cycle and then saying after watching it 1,000 times that the hand will move from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock on the next rotation. That's a non-prediction. You're just watching a cycle. Now, a scientific prediction is a hypothesis. So if they're claiming science and they say the word prediction, they instantaneously mean hypothesis, precisely what Quantum Eraser is asking for from any of these fields. So astrophysics, astronomy, or cosmology, any of them to provide a valid scientific prediction, otherwise known as hypothesis.
Nah, I would say they think they mean hypothesis, but they're just talking about a model. We have a model, it makes predictions,
Well,
so therefore globe.
They never mean hypothesis when they say hypothesis. They never mean science when they say science. never mean shit when I say anything, chocolate.
They've just hijacked the terminology. They've taken this vernacular and used it to mean empiricism when they have none. So they don't have scientific validity to their assertions, making their assertions just so stories. They call their just so stories hypothesis because they're pseudoscientists.
But Nathan, science doesn't prove anything. Only math. We can only give evidence.
Okay,
Come on.
so science does prove things. There'd be no point in doing it if it didn't. The way it proves things is by way of hypothesis. So a scientific prediction has two sides to it. Bearing in mind we've already observed phenomena at this stage, and that would be your dependent variable in the hypothesis. Your DV is the observed phenomena. The IV is your presumed cause of the effect. Well, it doesn't just have the affirmative guess, it also has the antithesis thereof, which is the null hypothesis. So if your A, in this example, your independent variable being A, causes B, and in this example B being your dependent variable, the phenomena you observed at step 1, then your null hypothesis will be if A, not B. In other words, at the end of experimental validity being offered to this hypothesis, you will either confirm or invalidate your alternative hypothesis, your assumption of the cause of the effect you observed. But you also have the null. If you do not cause the effect by way of your guess, and you have guessed wrong, if A does not cause B, then you validate the null. Ipso facto, by default, if you don't guess right, you validate the antithesis of your prediction, which would be your null hypothesis, thus offering empiricism. You either prove or disprove your scientific prediction. Hypothesis, precisely what is being asked by QE from these fields. They say prediction. If they then go on to say, well, because our predictions are just so stories, science doesn't prove things, that actually translates into we don't have science even though we say we do, making a pseudoscience. And pseudoscience, what we are actually providing, does not prove things. Science, on the other hand, absolutely does. It proves or disproves your scientific prediction. Hypothesis.
Well, now, Nathan.
Yeah, well, I think they can have a theory without that possibility.
You can have a Mystic Meg theory. I theorise it's going to rain tomorrow. Well, is that validated empirically, or is that Mystic Meg prediction?
But Nathan, as an astronomer, I have I can never say that word, spectroscopy. And we can look at the spectrum of those lights in the sky, and we know what they are. Come on. Don't you know this? You just don't understand.
Scientific validity. Spectroscopy, observing spectrum of light, does not give you validated hypotheses. Cause and effect relationships established through experimentation is not what you acquire through spectroscopy.
Maybe that's why they've gone to the lengths of literally taking cause and effect out of the wiki, right? Literally trying to change the rhetoric. And it's very noticeable, guys.
Spectroscopy answers a what is question, and we're going to get into that deeper here next Tuesday, that they don't have any idea what they're talking about. I mean, the ballers. So it's answering a what is question anyway. That is outside the scientific method. The scientific method only deals with the how and why questions, cause and effect, not what is questions. Thanks.
And John, would you please tell them it's not your method, it's this scientific method?
Yeah, I don't have a scientific method. I never did.
If anybody asserts that there is more than one scientific method, and the scientific method we are detailing, the scientific method, is empirical by nature, upon systematic experimentation, you provide validity, empiricism, to your prediction if you validate it. If you don't, you validate the other half, the null. So we have an empirical method called the scientific method. Were someone to assert that there are other methods, we would simply need to have them show us the validity and empiricism that method provides them with, and how it does so. Typically, the person who's going to assert that they have an alternative method and that that's too narrow or that science doesn't prove things are going to be the type of ilk that would look up into the sky and make a declaration about a light and what it is and what it means in terms of our reality, based on what they say. And what they say is based merely on what they observed.
Yeah, well, remember, they affirm the consequent because what they observe, it just means it's a sphere. They just make the math to work for them.
That priceless. Can't believe that Brenda utilised a Jose argument. Jose used that exact same argument here. Can you offer me a picture of the entirety of the flat plane? No, I can't, Jose. Ha ha ha, well I can. Here's half a globe. Well, that's not the entirety, Jose. It's like, what the hell? Are they really that stupid?
Yes, they are. Yep.
Yeah.
But even if they did show the entirety, it'd have to be a composite, which means you'd have to put two images up on the screen. So that would be a composite image of the so-called.
No, that's all they have is composites of the half that they can show. Those are composites too. There are no photographs. None. Zero. You have to figure out what the difference is between an image, a computer-generated image, and a photograph. Thanks.
Just in case there's any smartasses in the comment section after that's been stated, that say, actually, they did take a genuine picture, and then they name whichever Apollo mission picture that they claim is a picture taken with a camera. Unfortunately for those claimed to be pictures from a second law of thermodynamics violation known as outer space, the sky vacuum, any claim that a vessel has traversed somewhere that is analogous to Narnia, i.e. it cannot exist, in this respect the medium itself, space, is fake. You can't have the gas pressure we experience here on Earth without the necessary antecedent of a container. And the claim of a sky vacuum is a violation of that natural law. You can't have gas pressure without a container. So we'd have no gas pressure if the sky was a vacuum. Ultimately speaking, this renders all claims of images from that region fake instantly, regardless of the just so story that comes along with them.
Outstanding. Good point.
Ditto.
Favorite debunking of all of them, that is, by a long margin.
Yeah.
If anybody was listening to the show, a cursory listen, and they took away one thing from the now 1,001 shows that have taken place on this channel, right? If they only took away one detail, that would be the single detail I would hope they'd take away. You can't have gas pressure without a container. The sky vacuum, outer space, is ultimately debunked by this. It does away with all of the necessity to go through pictures that they claim are in the sky vacuum and pull them apart based on their CGI quality. You don't need to do any of that. Once you state that you can't have gas pressure without a container, there's no need to debunk any claims from the sky vacuum. They're obsolete immediately. You've debunked it. You've turned the sky vacuum into what it really is, Narnia. It's not real. It's not a place that you can go. You'll never experience it. It was one of the first points Matt Powerland made, and this just strengthens his point. You will never experience a view of the Earth from space. Well, this takes it one step further. You will never experience space in the same way you'll never experience Narnia. Neither are real places that you can go. Now, Narnia is simply debunked as being a fictional story that's overtly fictional. Space, on the other hand, is claimed to be real, but violates laws of nature, therefore cannot possibly be real. Very easy to debunk any assertions of what the ISS might or might not be doing when they have CGI glitching, if you simply assert that no, that light in the sky is definitely not traversing a vacuum, because we wouldn't have any gas to breathe, now would we?
That single claim, the second law of thermodynamics violation, eviscerates the entire heliocentric spinning ball space monkey religion. It's over right there. You can go home. Thanks.
And remember this homeless tweaker shelter with panels buckled on one side? I just wanted to point that out. And this so-called vacuum. Wanted to share this photo. Astronauts survived, no problems, no issues. Didn't have to keep their suit on the whole time.
Looks amazing though.
We all burned out after the 1000th show. Was it that exciting?
A little, yeah.
Do you have something you want to present, Paul? Oh, the homeless tweakers shelter. Isn't that a bit of?
Oh yeah, did you hear me?
Yeah,
You're going on about gas pressure
just...
vacuum and the Narnia. I just wanted to show the homeless tweaker shelter with the panels buckled on one side that didn't affect the astronauts whatsoever.
That's
that's in Narnia.
It's an insult to homeless tweakers, really.
Yep. Yeah, it's in Narnia. So the whole thing is, don't even have to look at the tweaker shelter. If they put it out there, it's baloney, bollocks.
Yeah, that black bit in the background for you in the audience. This bit, that's supposed to be, what is it, near the moon? 10 to the minus 12 Tor. Ludicrous.
I think it's 9. I think it's minus 9 or minus 12. Can't remember.
Ludicrous. Just absolute
You mean
astronomical.
How does the president cannot
Your line's terrible, Flatzoid.
Flatzoid, you need to get another mic, dude.
But you've made this analogy before. In terms of I think they can create a 10 to the minus 6 Tor vacuum here, and they need walls that are physically driven into place. They're so thick. And apparently this cardboard, this joke on screen, can withstand those sorts of vacuums and the dangers and perils that go along with it. And you watch some of the takeoff footage, like you say, ignoring the backdrops and the obviously rubbish 1960s cinematography. Well, putting all that to one side, some of the panels blow out when they take off from the moon. On one of the video footages claimed to have been remotely operated from the Earth, with the timings delayed by about 10 seconds. And they film it blowing out its own sides as it takes off.
Yeah, the vacuum chamber at Plumbrook in Sandusky, NASA's vacuum chamber, can reach 10 to the minus 6 torr. With that, they need 8 meters thick reinforced concrete encased in aluminum and 2 5 million pound doors that have to be driven into place to protect it. And on the moon, we're talking about maybe 5 times more magnitude. The joke.
Yeah, 6 orders of magnitude more with that homeless tweaker shelter picture that we had up of the LM. So you've got...
Yeah, not 6 times.
6 orders
of magnitude.
Yeah. So why not stick them in that and see how they get on? You know what I mean? Stick them in the 10 to the minus 6 Tor. It's 6 orders of magnitude less severe. So they should be fine, right?
Well, and I wanted to share, I don't know if you can see my screen, but these are skins of aircraft on the ground. Look at the amount of rivets they put on the skin of a airplane just that flies in our atmosphere. You can just see there's thousands upon thousands of rivets. I remember the security guys, the military police, when they were guarding the planes on the aircraft, they said they would spend their afternoons counting rivets. There were so many rivets, they would count them over and over again. So I think that's interesting. And if you look at the limb, there is not that many rivets on the exterior of this so-called vacuum traversing spacecraft.
You can't spell MP, or you can't spell WIMP without MP.
Actually, look at this one. I realized this is probably an aircraft from that time period, and you can see how the buckling on this one has occurred. Who knows how old that is, but it looks like it might be a 1950s, 1960s airplane.
Hoping to get the goat to some MPs out there. Hopefully we'll get some.
Rivet after rivet.
Anybody in Discord? Yeah.
You're breaking up, by the way. Did your engineer come out for your internet yet? I take it as no.
Not yet. It's still breaking up.
A little bit. It's not terrible. You can still make it.
No, he hasn't been out yet. Radio check, radio check.
Yeah, you're all good.
Lost 3. This is lost 1. Are you lost 2 over?
I'm lost 2 over.
Roger, roger.
What's your vector, Victor?
We have clearance, Clarence.
My vector is down, John. That's what it is. It's down. My vector is down.
Down's not a direction.
No, your vector is perpendicular to the plumb line. Blah.
Things fall down and go boom, boom, John. Didn't you know?
Down is not a direction. Neither is up. It's not an objective direction, people.
There was a British guy who was on.
What about tangent to the geoid? Can you buy that?
Right. Yeah.
What geoid?
Space testicle.
Yeah, I can't buy that either.
There was a British guy on who was arguing with Zanuck yesterday, and he was pointing out that in Zanuck's rhetoric, essentially he has to defy fluid dynamics in terms of how water behaves, i.e. finds and maintains its level. And for his argument to work, he literally has to argue that it's going to conform to the bottom of the container. That was his argument. And it was only right at the end of the argument with Zanuck yesterday that the guy, I can't remember his name now.
That's Bev. Bev, try thinking.
That was it. And he's just laughing about it. It's like basically the bottom line is they've got to deny how water behaves to have this argument. And he's having to overtly state that as well. Like, yeah, it'll conform to the container. You're like, no. I'm sure I said it then as well. That was it's one of my earliest memories of education, them putting that sheet in front of me and asking you to describe how water behaved. I think I was 6.
You know, he's gotten into that argument so much with Zanuck and all these other freaking fundies that he's literally changed his name to horizontal level literalist. It's become that serious.
Well, now think about this. If you're standing at the outlet of the Nile, okay, on the Mediterranean, what you have to say is that it's curving, the water is flowing against centrifugal force over and up over a curved surface towards you. You get what I mean by that? That's what they have to say. It's flowing against centrifugal force over the curve towards you. You get that? That's what they have to say.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
And because Zanuck is always talking about the forces, well, what about centrifugal force, right? That's always a big thing in their illustrations. The Nile is overcoming centrifugal force to flow towards you.
Well, Paul, that's why the argument is so bad. They're nihilist.
Boom, boom. I was waiting for that. I thought you were going to get in denial somehow in there. But nihilist, even better. Topped.
Yeah, it's from Egypt, so you know I got that from my mummy.
Boom, boom.
Oh my God.
I'd have more, but I'm pressed for time.
Haven't said hello to Anon yet. Sorry, I did see you arrive. I just forgot to introduce you, Anon. Hello.
I had to clear my esophagus.
I had to clear my sarcophagus, you mean? But I knew the joke was good. I had to clear my sarcophagus.
Zanuck is wanting to share his pain with me. You see it on my screen. Yeah, I guess he heard my comment. Come on in, Zanuck. Explain us how it overcomes flowing towards the mouth of the Mediterranean. It overcomes it. It's flowing against centrifugal force.
I'm on mute if you want to have it out with Zanuck.
Oh, no, I don't know if I want to have it out, but if he wants to come on, you can let him. Yeah, I saw this other thing he's got on here too. The other day I asked him if this is true, this little diagram here that he's got, then the horizon should never rise to eye level, right? Because look where eye level is, and look where the horizon is, even on his own diagram. Do you guys see that? The horizons would be down below your feet. See that? This is his own diagram.
I've got it presented.
So you got eye level.
It's funny there that eye level line and
Yeah, the eye level line is up, but the horizon is down. But when you look visually, it's at your eye level. So his own diagram debunks himself.
The reason for that is because if you draw it the other way,
eye level and surface
I didn't catch that chocolate you must
level, they're flat lines.
the problem is, Paul, that if you try and draw...
I was going to say it's cute how the eye level line...
Oh, and chocolate, one of us has got to go.
No, just real quick, I was just going to say the eye level line and the surface line apparently are flat lines. That's pretty funny when they're trying to say level is not that.
And the horizon is below both the surface and the eye level on this. Think about that. The horizon is below the surface level and the eye level in this diagram.
If the surface level is, say, the ocean, how far does that ocean go out into space on this picture?
According to this depiction, 10th man, if you just stand how you'd normally stand and just look out, you're looking up into space, according to this depiction. The reason it's depicted this way is because it was previously depicted with the Sagittarius drawn on its side. So you'd end up with the viewer physically tilting back on their ankles in order to have the eye line be horizon line. But then you're physically looking down and tilting back on your heels, and the depiction makes no sense. So instead they've chosen this depiction where you are upright on the top of their ball, a la gravity, and your target is over the edge of the ball. But your eye level then requires you to look down at the horizon. So according to this depiction, you're looking down at the horizon and over the top of the bulge. So the bulge in this example is the horizon. Look, that X says you might as well have reification here, where that X is. This says horizon, no, sphere edge. This X says this is where we reify our model, right here. We reify it into this, the horizon. Not the horizon, not the arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground that changes depending on your location. No, edge of a sphere.
Ridiculous.
And regardless, we would all agree that eye level, typically, when you just stand and look out towards any vast distance, will be where your horizon is. Well, we've got it completely different in this depiction, as that was your original point, 10th man. I just didn't want to hijack what you were saying.
No, we don't experience what they're showing here. We never do. We always see the top of any surface. I live by the ocean. When I go, I'm looking at eye level, and the surface level, if that's me, 6 feet tall, let's say, which is it's not to scale, but I'm looking at the ocean water, the top, which is level, and my eyes are slightly above it, being 6 feet tall, let's say. And I don't see the rest of this drawing that they're showing me here. It's ridiculous. It's not real.
Agreed. I don't think
Shout out to
we're going to get any
Good
bites from
Muppet Vision.
Discord, so I'm going to go this time. Chocolate, yeah, damn you. Yeah, we're not going to get any bites on this, so thank you, Paul. I'm going to take it off screen. Doesn't seem like you're getting a nibble. Go on, Chocolate.
No, I was just saying shout outs to Muppet Vision.
Yeah, that's worth talking about. Sorry, Paul. Any chance you can put it back up on screen? Sorry. Maybe he didn't hear me. So I'll just expand on what Chocolate Saying just said. So he said shout out to Muppet Vision. And what we've got on screen...
got it up.
Perfect, thank you, Paul. We've got a depiction that you will never experience in your life. So what you experience in reality is the horizon, and I'm showing my screen so that people can see what we see. We don't see us in this picture. Me, I'm the one taking this video actually, but this picture is being taken by me through a camera, and you don't get to see the point of view of the observer, you get to see what the observer sees. And here's our horizon, horizontal, across this picture. Now what we have here is something completely alien. Number one, we've got the side of our own head. Muppet Vision, we can see the side of our own head. You never get to see this position. The reason it's done this way is to remove all aspects of perspective. Now, this line that I draw with my mouse from point A to point B, it doesn't matter if I write on that line 1 mile or 1 million miles. This picture will look the same. And according to the picture, I've got a direct line of sight with whatever it is at whatever scale I give it. Ultimately meaning that as I push the scale out, the drawing doesn't change. There is no effective perspective in this picture. It doesn't matter how far apart they are claimed to be with the number that you draw on this line, you're still going to have the same view. In reality, as I go further away from something, it will get smaller until it eventually disappears. That's perspective. That's what happens in reality. One, things get smaller as they get further away. They're not just disappearing over an Earth curve that's been reified from a model, but that's what this asserts. As things get further away, they go further behind the Earth curve. No. As things get further away, they get smaller. That's perspective. Hence us calling these calculations, the begging the question, because it's got an R value already presupposed, there it is, radius. They already know the outcome. They've already got it as a sphere. Doesn't prove anything. They already have a R value as part of the maths. So if they're trying to prove a sphere with it, they've already got the sphere value. So it's a begging the question, proof of nothing. Perspective hijacking, thank you, Chocolate. In Muppet Vision, side profile. Proof of nothing, curve calculator. So perspective hijacking being the point with Muppet Vision. Putting you into a side profile is what removes all aspects of perspective. It doesn't then matter what value you attribute between target and observer. You can give it any value you like. The other truth, reality from that is that when they say, oh, why can't we see New York from England? Because in their mind, they've removed all aspects of perspective. You can put this point here as England and this point here as New York, or the other way around. And according to their idea of how the world works, if you've got a line that you can draw between the two things in Muppet Vision, side profile without perspective, you should see them. So that's why they charge us, flat earthers, with being able to see things at astronomical distances, because they have removed all aspects of perspective from their world. So in their mind, because Earth is flat, suddenly we should see things that are thousands of miles away. No, they're far too small to see. That's perspective, something absolutely removed from your worldview with these calculations. That's how we got to hold Mick West over the barrel and burn his toes.
Virus is saying in chat that we don't see anything with context. So my question is, how come in real life, the life I live each day, I don't experience motion and I don't see curvature? And you're telling us we don't have context to what we're saying? How about you showing me the curvature and motion? Show me Earth-based Coriolis, Virus.
Not in the.
I'd like to say something too.
Go on,
I'm
Paul.
sorry.
Go ahead. I was just going to say we can't see Come Virus in the chat. Is he just in the chat thread? Go ahead, Paul.
I'd like to correct you on something though, and just one little piece, not a whole lot, but just a little piece. Using this diagram now, obviously our observation is it seems like the horizon is rising up. So the boat in their model would have to go up and over the other side. Now you said something about kicking your heels back, right? But that's actually not true. For the horizon to rise up, I would have to lean forward slightly, and my angle would have to be downward slightly. You understand what I'm driving at?
Yeah, in reality, you're right, Paul. But in this depiction, if you were to take a screenshot of this now and rotate it, I don't know, 20 degrees left. Yeah, same exact picture, but depicted with you and the horizon in the center. This would physically, literally, in terms of how it's depicting your world, have you tilting backwards, wouldn't it? Because you're not going to change how it works. This is how it works. And previously, Mick West did depict it that way and had you tilting back on your ankles.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. I mean, in this perspective, you're standing upright, then everything should. But if I hold my arm straight out, then everything should drop down below my arm.
Exactly.
Pointing outward.
Exactly. And that's what the world would do if we lived on a sphere. Everything would all be dropping away. It would be overtly obvious if we lived on a sphere, like really obvious.
And it wouldn't be only obvious in a heads-up display, which I know Zanuck decided to post in the thing. It should be obvious at all times. It shouldn't be just only in an aircraft at 30,000 feet. It should be evident all the time, not just.
Your world's dropping away from you at 8 inches per mile squared. Coupled with the fact that things get smaller into the distance, shit should be disappearing all over the place all the time. But it doesn't happen like that. Also, in their reification world, things loom up on top of hills. You know, that is definitely not a world I live in. Their world is complete fantasy.
Yeah, and every time I go outside, I should look up and see planes curving away in different directions depending on where I'm looking, which way it's flying, and which way I'm spinning. Like it's ridiculous. That happens. It really is some type of fantasy magical world, man, that these guys truly want to live in. It's insane.
It's now overtly magical, though, like preposterous would be a good word that I would use to describe the heliocentric model now. Now that we recognise it's just brainwashing and, you know, we almost, I don't know, I'll speak for myself, I almost feel silly having believed in it because it's so silly. And I just wonder if in our lifetime we will see a recognition of that in the general masses where they go, yeah, it is really silly, isn't it, when you think about it? The globe, that is.
I hope so.
Or we'll just get you don't understand.
I know, and I'm watching the chat on my phone, and of course, Zanuck's saying, oh, the heads-up display does show this drop. But that's not what I said, Zanuck. It should always be observant at all times, not just in a heads-up display.
Is that him speaking, or is it the physics forums?
Probably the physics
I have
forum.
no idea.
A guy called Block for Block once did a little demonstration in his little computer model showing, you know, how the world would really appear if it was a sphere and showing how much it would drop away, how quickly. And it was Anthony's double effect of perspective with Earth curve that sort of makes the world a far more bally place when you factor in those actual effects we experience. When you know that those effects we experience have just been called Earth curve, the whole thing falls apart. But if their world was real, it would be overtly ball-shaped and you'd notice it pretty damn quickly. Shout out to Henrik for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much indeed.
That's why I will always say if the world were a globe, it would just be a globe. It would be obvious. We wouldn't have to debate it. All these things that we're debating and are negligible, according to these guys, they would all be noticeable. It would just be a globe.
the very least, we'd have some scientific validity, and we certainly wouldn't have the need to punt pseudoscience as science. You know, it's science science is right whether you not like it or not. To quote Neil deGrasse Tyson, well, yeah, that would be correct if you had any science. It'd be right whether we liked it or not, Neil deGrasse Tyson, but you just don't have any. But you making statements and declarations like science is right whether you like it or not makes you seem like you're a scientist, and makes your assertions seem like they're right whether or not we like them. And your assertions are just made up nonsense. So these people who have perpetuated scientific proof when they have none should really be held accountable for their total ineptitude or deceit, one or the other.
Question.
Go ahead.
Remember WGS 84?
Yeah, the ellipsoid.
Yeah, who was the guy who broke it down and took it in that software and showed that it was like uses the flattening factor and etc. Who was that guy? I want to go check him out more because I still don't fully understand it. I was hoping if he has like a channel.
Chris Monk.
He came over to your channel.
Yeah, Chris Monk did our Blender rendering when we were reifying models.
Chris who?
Chris Monk.
Monk. Does he have a YouTube?
He reverted back to the globe, like Jose.
What?
Yeah.
You don't see that often, but all right. To be fair, for the first few years, I was going back and forth as well. So.
That's not that surprising.
I was about to say, which fallacy led you back there temporarily?
No, because it wasn't that. It was mostly realizing that because I got most of my info. Well, the first hit of the pipe was from Math Powerline, just like you, Matthew Boylan. And then later on, I came across that he's like a soft porn gay actor. And I was like, what are you doing? You're listening to some gay actor, you know? And then that was before I knew, you know, more detail about the deception. So by the very beginning, I was going back and forth. And one of the reasons was like, don't listen to some schmuck, you know, some gay actor. Like, what are you doing? But that was one of them. But there was more where I was going back and forth.
That's total bullshit. So Math Powerland, yes, he used to be an actor. Yes, he did a part on an MTV television show. Definitely not gay porn. Yeah, he kissed a guy in a performance on a TV show as an actor. Definitely not gay. Definitely not gay porn. MTV audience, not exactly X-rated.
True.
You just call him a gay porn star. That's outrageous.
No, I said that's what I was told. I was told that he was, you know, when you go to Globers, that's what they tell you. And then you go, what? And then you look into it. I saw his IMDb, saw that he's an actor, but still a hyper-realist. He's still a hyper-realist painter. So
yeah,
what he says still rings true, photo or painting.
Yeah, give him a big shout out. The 1000th show is like, gas pressure without a container is an expansion, excuse the pun, of his argument you will never get to see the Earth from space. You'll never get that vantage point. Only the wizards get to go to the second law of thermodynamics violation known as outer space in their funny suits and funny hats. They'll get to go, like Edmund gets to go to Narnia, but you don't get to go to Narnia and you don't get to go to space. We've just expanded on that and gone, well, space isn't real because it violates natural law. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Shout out to Math Powerland.
Yeah, and somebody else put something on my subreddit talking about how he's admitting that that all of this is fake because he said this is his comedy routine, this is his character, etc. But I don't know what to think of that. But again, that's just one guy. I mean, there's literally thousands of pointers that point to the fact that we're not on a ball. So Matt Powerline, thank you for waking us up, but you know, it's just about that.
Yeah, he's correct. I interviewed Math when he was abstaining from doing any interviews. You can still see it. It's like Flat Earth UK 5, I think, like a really
Where have you
early
seen
show from about 4 years ago. And JLB critiqued it, and he was like talking about the frog, you know, hello my baby, the singing dancing frog. He compared Math Powerland to that frog because he didn't tend to do any interviews, didn't come out and talk to people. And then I basically badgered him. He did. He came on and chatted to me on my show, and you know, went through the usual stuff, explained about photo or painting and how it came to be. Just seemed like just a regular guy. But one of the things that he explained to me before I interviewed him was that, you know, his stage name, if you will, is obviously not his real name. Math Powerland. You know, he's talking about the rhetoric of the globe. It's about mathematics, it's about power, and it's about land. That's why his name is what it is. You know, his real name's Matthew Boylan, but that's not what he wants to go by when he's in this arena for his own reasons. Not to mention the fact that he's worked in Hollywood, if you will. He's worked in that scene. Did you see his recent video?
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know. Maybe this is a bit gossipy and off topic. He went and did a comedy bit, and
about the Satan flag.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I'm subscribed to him. I watch him a lot.
I do. I watch Math. So
Find it hard
for the audience's benefit, he's got a comedy bit. I didn't actually get any of the backstory. I just happened to tune into literally a vlog that his wife was doing. So she presumably, you know, got the camera rolling and just stuck it on him, and he's gone up on stage to do his bit, and then had a little objection to the set, which has got a Baphomet goat head on a flag, and he goes to fiddle with it, and they're like, "If you fiddle with it, you're off." He's like, I just don't want to perform with the devil. So he starts folding it up, and they escort him off. Obviously, with him and his wife in great protest, as you would be. But yeah, so that was a bit of a kerfuffle, if you can call it that.
Yeah. Don't I
to take him seriously because he lied about working at NASA. He never worked at NASA.
Contracting? Maybe? I don't know. But then again, you don't know where people work, because how are you going to prove that?
NASA's full of actors.
Public, you know.
But he lied that he worked for NASA, and he never worked for NASA.
Give us the ins and outs of that story, because I don't know the
you know
story
that
in that
how?
regard. Maybe you know more than we do, Babs.
I heard it through the grapevine. I'm going to have to look more into it.
You heard it through the grapevine, therefore it must be true, right?
If you heard it through the
from
grapevine and it's
also.
old, it's raising some doubt right now.
There's not too much credence in your comments.
Okay, let's just take it as read that he lied about what he said about working for NASA. And let's be honest, what he did declare about it was pretty sketchy to begin with. And if you're saying that sketchiness was because he was actually lying, let's just take that as read for now. Who cares? Does it make any difference to the information he passed on? But for the fact that Math Powerland was talking about flat Earth, I wouldn't be here. So, does it matter?
No.
So I don't think it's legal to impersonate a government employee, and NASA's government. So I think if he would have lied, they probably would have gone after him, especially with all these parts. But like George Netanyahu, he would have been on that.
Nobody got the credence pun, huh?
No, I didn't get the credence pun. What was the credence pun?
It heard it through the grapevine, and I said, well, there's not too much credence to his point.
Boom, boom.
You didn't get mine, did you?
Tough man, you got high level puns, man.
Yeah, I said it's an old grapevine, so he was raising a bad point.
Raisin.
He was
Terrible.
raising a
Raisin.
bad. Oh my god! See, that's what I need, man. That's high level, bro.
My credence point was higher than that.
I would agree. Credence is more highbrow.
Oh, yeah, that's why I got a comment on chat. Wow, 10th man, that grape joke really shriveled up.
Ah, terrible.
Thank you, Bill G. Where's your chat response, QE?
We're still live? Still
We
live?
are still live, yeah. We're going to stay live for another couple of minutes.
I don't need affirmation from the chat, son.
Claim support.
It's self-evident.
What's self-evident?
The highbrowness of my credence pun.
Oh, critical stuff. Sorry, I thought there was something important being discussed.
Hey, all I know is people are saying, "Oh, okay, this is good. Stop whining, 10th man."
Oh, God, it's going to get down. It's going to go downhill from here. So with that,
He's going to get triggered.
I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who tuned in live on the Nathan Oakley premiering live stream. But if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Massive thanks to all of today's debating panel for making this after show, this live show possible, and a massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!